And while they do that, they claim they're doing all of this to save the U.S. while they destroy its economy, destroy its currency, destroy its borders, destroy its good name. I want to throw out a few little side issues that are important before I forget. Tony Blair, you said a year ago they planned to make him the head of Europe. He converted to Catholicism, with Europe being predominantly Catholic. That was a big sign 8 months ago. It supposedly rotates. England isn't in line, but they break their own rules whenever they want, being dictatorial in nature. And now they're trying to position Blair into that. He lied and said he wasn't planning it. Can you talk about Blair? Do you think he's going to get the EU presidency, or do you think that there's so much opposition mounting that they won't be able to do it?
No, there's actually not a lot of opposition at all, because again, as in the United States, so is the case in Europe, the country or the continent has been so dumbed down, and especially now with the subprime crisis hitting full effect. You're talking about the worst banking crisis since 1931. People are just really not in the mood to hear anything other than their own personal finances. What most people don't understand quite yet is that the world financial system has already collapsed, and what we're experiencing and will experience from now into the future are only the effects of it, which are gradually coming to the surface. And again, there's not a lot of opposition to Tony Blair's probable most likely position as the European czar. And again, all the things that you're seeing right now, and again, you and I have talked about this. I remember in 2006 when we saw each other during Bilderberg conference in Canada in Ottawa, and there's just so many predictions that you and I have been making over the years. I can't remember all of them. What you just told me, it's, you're right. I did say it about a year ago. I just couldn't remember it because, again, so much is happening so fast. And what before took 6 months to actually put together, now all of that is actually in warp run. It's being done literally in a matter of days. By the way, something just came out of Spain today. Citigroup has announced that as of now, people will only be able to withdraw 10,000 euros a month, 2,000 euros a day, and maximum 10,000 euros a month.
That is huge financial news. That basically means they're right on the bank right there. That means they're preempting some news.
Well, again, it's not going to come out publicly, but it has come out. There's been a trial balloon, and it has come out on a few Spanish financial websites, but then again, it disappeared almost as quickly. But again, it makes all the sense in the world. If you look at it, in Europe, for example, it's literally a domino effect. What is happening in the United States with the subprime crisis, well, it's in full gear right now in Europe. You have IKB, the Industrial Credit Bank in Germany. You have Jochen Sanyo, and then the head of German Bank Supervisory Authority, BaFin, said that we're in the worst banking crisis since 1931. Then you have, West Landsbank in Germany as well, Sachsen LB. You're talking about some of the leading banking institutions, and again, you're talking about, the creative financing that the Wall Street and company have been involved in for so long. That no longer works because, again, you see it all the way back in August 2007 when there was a credit crunch, when the lending between the banks almost came to a halt in Europe as a so-called reverse leverage collapse began through this process, which had begun with the collapse of the American mortgage markets.
Now, I want to be clear. That was 2 years ago now, coming up on 2 years in June, that I videotaped and interviewed you and watched you making your predictions in Canada at the Bilderberg meeting when we were covering it, and you said the elite are popping the subprime to cause this spiraling slide. You said it would be a long, slow slide so that they can consolidate everything, and then it would be made to look like it happened on accident. Exactly what you said, because you were getting it from sources inside Bilderberg. What are those sources?
I'm going to give you another piece of information, something which is coming together again right now. I saw this about 10 years ago, or it might have been 11. In a Bilderberg report, they were talking about demand destruction. Literally, that was the phrase within the context. I didn't understand it at the time because I was just getting into Bilderberg and I had too many loose ends to tie up. So about a year and a half ago, shortly after Canada, I saw again demand destruction in a Club of Rome report, and about 3 months later in the Trilateral paper report, and then I saw it in the European Commission report. So I asked a friend of mine in the World Bank, I said, what does this mean? And he said, how do you destroy the demand? I said to him, well, how do you do this? He said, you destroy the demand by destroying the world's economy, because poor people, the great unwashed, us, the rest of humanity, they can destroy us, they can take away whatever little we have, Just as in the 1929 supposed crash, it wasn't a crash, it was a transfer of wealth, and people better understand it. We lost, they gained. The same thing is being done right now. The giant corporations, these giant cartels, which form part of the Bilderberger inner circle, this spider web of virtual interests, they'll be able to buy for pennies on the dollar anything out there. It's a great fire sale, and needless to say, we, the people, who will be suffering. But again, we should ask ourselves why nobody is talking about it in the U.S. presidential races.
They're not talking about any of the serious issues. Shifting gears back out of banking, Daniel Estulin, and coming up in the next hour, folks will be able to talk to Daniel and call in and ask your questions at 1-800-259-9231, 1-800-259-9231. Investigative journalist. He's in my film, Endgame. He has a best-selling book now going in its 4th printing here in the U.S. It's been in many as 20 printings in other nations, 25-plus nations. I think that number's grown.
In 50 countries, Alex. In 50, we just sold the rights to our 50th country and our 30th language. Absolutely amazing. It's the people leading this fight, and I think we can win this war if we can just wake up out of our drunken stupor.
Absolutely. So in the last year, it's doubled. That's just incredible. Daniel, we know on one arm they've got the war on terror. That's how they dominate us, arrest us, control us, push us around. That's their excuse. But on the other hand, they use this whole push of global warming, man-made global warming. They're going to say how big your house can be, how much food you can have, remote control thermostats in your house, banning fireworks in the EU, even if local governments want to put them on, banning outside space heaters, banning fireplaces, taxing and regulating your cows, your sheep. Total control. They're now, again, imposing feudalism through this, and the average environmentalist thinks, oh, we're just helping Earth. No, this is literally thousands of new regional and global taxes. Can you speak to that in their Club of Rome agenda?
Well, I can give you a very, very concrete example, which I did see in a Club of Rome report about 6 months ago or so. And about 2 weeks ago, as I was started preparing for my show in the United States, I got information from my sources in the Ministry of Agriculture in Canada. What they're basically trying to do, they're trying to destroy an independent watchdog organization which makes sure that the people don't get ripped off by the big agribusiness. And that's part of the entire agenda of control. And what they're trying to do, they're trying to destroy what's called the Canadian Grain Commission, whose annual budget is about $15 million. It's the only thing in Canada that stands in the way of total corporate control over grading and prices. And what basically they're doing, they're trying to eliminate it to be able to directly control it. And investigating it, I've realized that all the way down from the Minister of Agriculture of Canada down to the people who supposedly put together independent reports for the Club of Rome are the same individuals who are actually doing this and trying to destroy. The Minister of Agriculture in Canada is a guy by the name of Jerry Ritt. Well, he used to be a chairman of Standing Committee on Agriculture and Agri-Foods and was part of agribusiness. And again, it's all part of the global agenda because, as you know, as Kissinger said, you control the energy, you control the nations, you control the food, you control the people. And it's, again, we, the people, are the only ones who are standing in the way of total control over all of these resources and our lives. They need control of food and they must control the water, and that's what they're doing. And again, it all comes out of the Club of Rome reports. Needless to say, they talked about it at the Bilderberg annual meeting in 2007 in Istanbul, and of course they'll be talking about it in 2008.
Now, I want to explain this. They're monopoly men. They're not free market. If they get control of industries through regulation, if they get control of governments through global international treaties and bodies, and we just had Gordon Brown call for a world government, a world army with NATO at the head. It's all happening. What do you say to people that listen to this show and giggle and snivel and send me emails and laugh and say we're crazy when all we're doing is reporting what they're doing, Daniel?
Alex, I'll give you an example with Titanic. It's too late. We know this thing is going to crash. We know it's going to hit an iceberg and it's going to sink. There is no time to speak to 6 billion people. We only have to pick and choose the people who are willing to listen and willing to participate. We don't want all these people on board. We don't want dead weight. We only want the people who understand that the only way we can
Stay there. Got a break. Finish up with Daniel Estulin. Stay with us. We'll be right back.